Good evening. Welcome to Investigator News. I'm your host, Ellie Holder, and this is the Investigator News World News. Biden, boy, I want to get to what's going on in Israel before I get to Biden. And at least one person was wounded just in the last several hours in Tel Aviv, which is central Israel. But in the north, they've continued to see airstrikes coming from Lebanon and Hezbollah. This was the scene earlier today, and we could see when I was taking a look at it, I could see some smoke rising on the live feed. And it was on the hillside, and that is the border of Israel and Lebanon that I seen this. Um, Boy, I lost my spot here. Oh boy. Um, Hezbollah has launched anti tank missiles on the northern Israeli fire jets. Quickly, they responded. It was last night when the IDF released footage of the hospital basement where it appears some hostages were being held. Um, the IDF also released footage of what it says a cache of weapons that were found there. And they say that it could release 70 hostages through negotiation if they do a 5-day ceasefire. The IDF continues to press forward, saying that in the last day it took over the parliamentary building in Gaza City, raising Israel flag there. Now, what they found in the bunker was explosive vests, rifles, grenades, axes, and tons of ammunition down in the bottom of the hospital. Uh, Joe Biden, being the thug he is, I'm going to say he's no longer qualified to be a president. And why do I say that? Because of his mind. He may have been a senator that was full force like Pelosi and um, um, Dianne Feinstein in the day, but he's gone. He he got messed up on NFL and hockey, I believe. Didn't know what he was talking about, and even said he's going to divorce his wife. He's gone. He's gone, folks. Despite evidence that Hamas terrorists likely um, uh, using human shields, as I've mentioned this before. President, I don't even want to call him a president anymore. Joe Biden is calling on Israel to show restraint. It's my hope and expectation there will be um, uh, intrusive action relative, and this is what he said to the hospital. There is efforts to take this pause to deal with the release of prisoners that's being negotiated, as well as Qataris are engaged. He remains somewhat hopeful. The hospital um, must protect the people there that are being held hostage by Hamas. The New York Post um, said the hospital must be protected. Blistering headline: Stop pretending the hospital uh, um, is being swarmed by Israelis that's going to kill people. That's what Joe's saying. And dadgummit, Joe, call out Hamas' central role in endangering civilians and focus. Focus. If he can't do it and Harris can't do it, somebody in this administration needs to step up. And Israel needs to be better protected, not only by the people and the IDF, but other nations. and that Hamas are terrorists using human shields. Well, that's the same guy. And Joe Biden, who I don't know, about 7 minutes ago, um, when I looked at the video once again to see what he was saying and giving the speech, that climate change is the single greatest threat that we face in America. What? Who cares about climate now? Who cares? I mean, globally, they're complaining that it's a failure. And so, when asked about the biggest essential threat to the world and to the United States, he said, climate change. Really? Netanyahu basically said no, he's not going to do this. They have to be eliminated. Why? He says it's not just Israel that needs to worry, because if these terrorists defeat Israel, they're only going to go further. They're only going to go on to take country after country or start a civil war in countries that need not have a civil war. And Israel does not need to apologize for anything. Who needs to apologize? T-Lob, Omar, AOC. That's who should be getting in front of cameras and apologizing to not only Israel, but to the American people for taking the side of terrorism. You can basically conceive of what Hamas is doing, whether it's good or bad, evil or good, or but that's everybody's opinion. Everybody really has their own opinion, and that's what I'm finding out. Listening the other night in a restaurant and listening to what people were saying as the news came on. And I could, everybody was just basically booing and turned the channel. They didn't even want to hear a Biden. But I'm in a red state. I couldn't imagine what if they'd be cheering him on in a blue state. How could you cheer on people that want death and destruction? The day of October 6th, there was a ceasefire in Israel. October 7th, Hamas struck on a ceasefire. That's something. Think on that. And the international community, it's like Hamas is their savior. Why? Do they want to see the beheadings? Do they want to see? And me and William, I think, is going to talk on the show tomorrow about the terror and the fear that these terrorists put into everybody to get them to believe in condemning the ones that are doing right. And the other things is, if you guys are watching it and you see flares and you don't understand the flares, what they're trying to do is to determine who's firing upon them. So they light up the area where they know some of the firing is coming from, because they'll shoot at it. And then they're more precise with their weapons. So definitely welcome to the show. And again, happy birthday to Linda. I did it on the last show, and I know William did it last night. Linda, I don't know if you knew, but he did say happy birthday on the show. So happy birthday to Linda. Now, I have got, I had to look into this Adams corruption. Eric Adams. Um, they say, he's one of the luckiest people in the world, that everybody's attention is diverted because the details of what's happening to him right now are insane. So, what is, everybody heard that his phone got taken, and what was going on? What was going on? Well, uh, he's currently being investigated by the FBI as to whether he cleared of red tape for the Turkish government, folks. So the details um, um, are starting to filter in a little bit. And so I was able to grab up quite a bit today for you guys. So after winning the 2021 Democrat mayoral primary, Eric Adams successfully pressed city officials to allow the opening of a Manhattan high rise housing. The Turkish consulate general, they well, with them, Eric Adams, we are now alleging that Eric Adams, weeks before the election, pressured New York Fire Department to sign off on the Turkish government's new high rise. And this is a consulate in Manhattan. Despite safety concerns with the building, after winning the primary, the fire commissioner in late summer of 2021 and urged him to allow them to occupy the building, at least on a temporary basis. The unusual intervention by Mr. Adams is being examined as part of a broader public corruption investigation by the FBI and federal prosecutors in Manhattan that led to the seizure of the mayor's electronic devices by federal agents. Earlier this week, uh, Eric Adams' intervention paved the way for Aragon, quote, who fondness for massive building projects is well known in Turkey, and then to preside over the grand opening of a 300 million 35-story tower on September in 2021. He did visit New York for the UN General Assembly. Um, and so Eric Adams, after he wins the primaries, he calls the New York Fire Department and he tries to issue a temporary building permit to the Turkish government. So the Turkey can open up this building and he can stand in front of the building and say, like, cool, look at me. Look how awesome this new building is. We have a awesome building in New York. What he failed to tell everybody, it was through the Turkish government that the building was there. They're investigating is any money changed hands. Personally, I just don't believe that Eric Adam is such a great friend of the Turkish people that he was doing this for free. But that's just my opinion. What do you think? So apparently the warrant, there was two. And it was a search of his 25-year-old fundraiser, Brianna Suggs. There was also seizing of phones from her, not only her and him, but the staff, his campaign staff. And apparently, the warrant search of the home of the fundraiser, um, um, Brianna Suggs. And they focused this fundraising event that on May 7th, on that day, donors, including the owners of the KSK construction company, employees, their families, along with others. And the industry donated $43,000 to the fundraiser. And it was organized, this campaign and the money, by Turkish migrants. I believe KSK construction company is owned by the Turkish migrants. So this fundraising event throws in a lot of money and 48 different donors. When you get that kind of money, in New York, you get public matching funds. So actually, it doubles the amount of money that Eric Adams got with his campaign. So you could see basically that the campaign contributions led to the treatment of special treatment from the Turkish government and the building management, enabling Aragon to come into the grand opening. It's also worth noting that this actually sadly consists with Aragon's record in Turkey, as well as you recall that horrific earthquake. So that's part of why such a death toll was aggressively looked at. And the shoddy construction that wasn't um, up to code that crumbled in the earthquake. So they know that what he put up in New York, it can't really withstand earthquakes, strong winds, or the shoddy building and lack of inspections. He is now looking at this, um, the FBI looking into him. Now, so now you guys get a good idea of why Eric Adams is being investigated. It's over Turkey, his relationships. And we see this over and over again, not with just mayors, but DAs, or judges, or Congress, or Senate, where they will go to other countries and seek funding for their campaign. Now, this is something that the GOP has been trying to curb for decades, but you're looking at lobbyists and the Democrats that are looking for any type of resource that they could dig up and make money out of. And of course, they work with the lobbyist, and then between the lobbyist and a lot of the Congress or Senate, they're getting, they're making a lot of money, lots of money. So anyway, that is what is going on with crazy Eric Adams and the wild, they say the wild charges. Um, he is right now, I think, Mr. Adams, he's going to be the future of the Democrat Party. But in the same sentence, I'm going to say, well, I think he screwed himself on that one. I think he screwed himself there. He got caught. He wasn't good enough, and he got caught. So, all right. So I want to move on with a lot of this news. There was a boy. I wanted to bring this up first because I want to get it done and over with. Because now in the 80s, I knew a few kids that were and gang members, or even well-to-do kids were getting together, and they would go in Las Vegas, Reno, anywhere there was gambling. They'd wait for people to come out. They would beat them up and take their money. Well, um, this one here wasn't about robbing or taking anybody's money. It was just pure hatred. Las Vegas teenager is dead after brutal beating in the hands of 15 youths. Jonathan Lewis, 17, was pronounced dead Tuesday after the gang attacked outside of Rancho High School. This happened on November 1st. The video is horror. It's horrible. And I heard the best thing this morning that said, was this a frenzy? Like, when they loot, they get so caught up in the motion that they want to do like everybody else and go in and loot and take and whatever. Yada, yada. There we go. But these kids, they wanted to kill this guy. And that's what I'm afraid of, because New York, a 77-year-old was beaten and I think they killed her. This isn't the first time. This is happening all over our country in major Democrat cities, to where gangs are finding somebody that either they look like they have money or just beat them up. But the thing is they're going beyond that. They want to kill. I mean, I know the colleges have taught them hatred in school. They're teaching them hatred in the high schools, junior highs. Is this what we want? Because this is what Hamas was taught. Hamas was taught kill, kill Israelis, kill, kill, kill. And that's what these teenagers are listening to. And uh, um, to see this kid die, and he was protecting one of his little friends, little guy. And even this little guy jumped in and tried to save him. Where were the adults? Where was the school? This happened right outside the school across the street. No security, no schooling, no kids to even turn these people in or call the police. What does this world come to when we have 15-year-olds that want to kill? For what? They didn't even rob this guy. They just wanted to kill him. Wow. Oh, Mayorkas went for impeachment, and by rights he should have. But we got these stupid 12 to 24 Republicans that keep voting with the Democrats. And this time, I think it was 8. Mayorkas's policies wasted taxpayer dollars. I think it's 400 million or trillion or billion. I don't know. I think I have it later on. I have the numbers. That is going to cost taxpayers per year to house these migrants. Now we have even a few saying they want to go home. Mayorkas policies could cost, yeah, here it is, taxpayers $451 billion, according to the copy of the report, which cited data from the Center of Immigration Studies. Some major costs of the committee pointed to are the health and care sector, law enforcement, education, welfare, housing, transportation, and the damage that they're doing to private property. I mean, they just go up and live on your yard. They don't care. And of course, the strongest and the worst one is going to jump in and um, try to justify all this. All right, listen. Uh, and I've been talking about the Dominion machines for a very long time. Dominion machines, if you don't know what it is, it's what we vote on when we go. And when you stand in line, you go to vote and you pick your little choices out on their machines. Well, Georgia lawsuit on alleged weakness in Dominion machines is set for trial with the push for paper ballots. The court notes that the record's evidence does not suggest that the plaintiffs are a conspiracy theorist of any variety. Indeed, some of the nation's leading computer scientists have provided testimony and affidavits on behalf of the plaintiffs. The judge wrote in her ruling, the court notes that the record evidence does not suggest that the plaintiffs are conspiracy theories of any variety. Indeed, some of the nation's leading cybersecurity experts and computer scientists have provided testimony and affidavits on behalf of the plaintiffs. The judge wrote in her ruling the trial set for January 9th of next year. Can't they just do it now? Because they need to go get, it's almost like Hamas, folks. We give them ceasefire, they're going to go build back up. We give the Democrats a chance, and they'll just build up the next suit or thing, that a bill that they're going to pass that hurts the American people. 26 attorneys, attorney generals, urge Congress to empower states to take out some of the terrorists that come over our borders. This is that I heard earlier, over 20,000 that unvetted got in our country, men and boys, or boys of 15 to 45, basically. And we're looking at a part of the Democrat Party is all for letting the corruption to continue. They voted it in. NASA releases another FOIA batch on Joe Biden, when documents show that they have been firing upon Israel, but at the same time they're backing Israel. I think that's what's going on in a lot of this country, and not only that, but globally, where half of the world, half of the states are for Israel. The other half is for Hamas. Dershowitz says Obama lied through his teeth about Gaza. More and more, we're seeing people, it's like the White House, half the staff walked out yesterday. Half the staff, Secret Service, everybody, not everybody, but 50% of his administration has walked out on him just since the beginning of the year. So Harvard Law School professor Alan Dershowitz says Barack Obama recently lied through his teeth about Gaza, and the relationship with the former president is over. Speaking last week, he Mornings with Maria, Dershowitz took aim at Obama's comments, calling the end of the occupation in Gaza and blaming Hamas and Israel for violence. And Israel on October 7th, there was killings of 1,200 people and kidnapping 240 more. He just lied through his teeth. There's no occupation of Gaza. Dershowitz said, arguing Israel's disengaged from Gaza, the Gaza Strip, in 2005, kicking out 9,000 Jews that lived in Gaza. So they kicked them out in 2009, and we were okay with that. And there's always been a war in Syria. There's always been a war in Syria. A Syrian girl says it's never ending. There's nothing left of Syria. But yet the war rages on. Why? Hezbollah. That's what's going on. All right. 26 attorney generals urge Congress to empower the states to enforce federal migration laws. And it's all along the border, but not only along the border, folks. We got it in these sanctuary cities to where attorney generals are tired of this. Even though there's some that want to go home, even in New York, they said, no, we ain't living this on the streets. We're not living in tent cities. We want hotels. So now, even in New York, um, they're wanting a better place to stay. Well, you got to earn it, folks. We all had to earn it. What about the homeless on the streets? You don't think they would like a hotel room for a couple days? I bet they would. Some food and dry clothes. Oh, they're seeing how cold it is in Chicago. And they said, no, yeah, we need hotels in Chicago. Not only New York. Wait till the northern gets their snow. Then what are they going to do? Are they going to what? Want to go back to Arizona? Well, they don't want them down there. But the thing is now we got 26 attorney generals urging Congress to empower states. Because see, that's where we have separation of the state and the feds. That's why Abbott's able to put fencing on his border because it's under the state. Same way with what William mentioned lithium that Sarah Huckabee's drilling for in Arkansas. The states are allowed the power to do things where the feds can't really interfere. And now we're seeing states, blue states of all things, stepping up and saying enough is enough. Why? Because Biden's a failure. He's not even qualified anymore. I don't think the man is qualified for presidential material. He's lost. I don't even think when you're talking, you don't know NFL from soccer or what hockey or whatever, and then you start talking about divorcing your wife. I can imagine Jill's horror hearing that he now wants to divorce her because he's in his mind, he's not all there anymore. Um, NARA releases another FOIA batch on Joe Biden's documents. Monday, the National Archives and Records Administration, NARA, released the third batch of documents responsive to the Freedom of Information Act. And the requests related to Biden's classified documents investigation. In a lot of the redacted emails, the FOIA batch, officials discussed the operation to transfer documents from a Boston law office to his home. Not only that, it was reported one day before midterm elections. Officials were negotiating with Biden attorneys at the Boston office of Hemingway and Barnes, LLP. They said, please call me at your earliest convenience. I'll be asking you to send 2 staff to retrieve and secure some materials from the law firm. This needs to be done with the utmost professionalism, but secrecy and discretion. And then more we can discuss later. Okay, so they arranged for documents to be stored at the law firm and transported to the JFK Presidential Library in Boston. So you see, they were moving all of the stuff that we seen that they got Trump on. They were moving Biden's documents around. Hey, let's put them over here. Well, what about if we put them over there? Well, we'll put them in his garage. Well, we'll put them in the Boston law office. Well, we'll put them in the JFK library. Well, we'll move them over here and we'll move them over there and we'll move them over to the college. So they were hiding them from certain FBI agents to where they weren't finding the much needed high classified documents that they were moving around. I'd like to know what they are, to be honest. What documents did he have? Was it about his segregation? Was it about his white supremacy? Was it about that he liked the swastikas and he liked um, uh, Senator Byrd and the whole white hooded uh, decades of what Senator Byrd did? I mean, it was his mentor. It was his mentor. You got to think on that. When you got the Grand Dragon of the KKK as your best buddy, you know that they've got to be hooked to it somehow. It's just like Pence. I didn't like how quiet Pence was. And then come to find out, Pence's best buddy was caught for pornography, child pornography. You got it. And so I was like, yeah, Pence is kind of the quiet guy. I didn't have no proof to say what he did, and I can't say anything. But you got to wonder, when your best buddy is corrupt, how far have you went with your best buddy? Yes. All right. Boy, I got lots of good stuff today. I'm all ready for this, William. Um, um, how much of these proxy issues over in Syria and all the way down to Oman is Iran? Now, Iran says they haven't got enough funding to fund a war themselves, but they have the military equipment and the bombs and the rockets and mortars to send to these little proxy groups. Now, they're wondering how much of Iran is the biggest part of this war. And when Congress and others, and even the Pentagon, has looked into this, they're now starting to see that this could be Iran's war against the Middle East. And will he stop at just Israel? They're saying Jordan could be next. It could be Iraq is next. It could be Saudi. I doubt Saudi. William would probably agree with me. It's probably not going to be Saudi. But a lot of this is an Iran war. They're starting to come up with a conclusion of this. That Iran, in their own way, has been able to instigate this war and be able to send everything needed to these proxy groups. And as they stood up and said, they want more to happen. They want war. They want Hezbollah to be more aggressive. They want Houthis to be more aggressive. They want Hamas to be more aggressive. And there was a lady that came up and stood up against and said, you know what? The Iranian people don't like this. And I wish I should have wrote her name down. I don't think I did. No, I didn't. And she stood up. She said that it's not what the Iranian people are about. And we hate the leadership. We hate being in a country that we're being blamed for wars of the Middle East. And that she urged, I bet she's one, people in my chat, let me know. I bet that she's going to disappear. You don't just get up in the middle of Iran and say, these guys are warmongers and let's just vote them out. Let's get rid of them. We're not about this. They got this like stranglehold on these people. So I'm going to keep an eye on her, make sure see if what's up. Iran and maybe the guy over in Pakistan that keeps he messages me all the time. Maybe he knows something of what's going on with her. Maybe this is it. Okay. Hin Mazig said he never imagined the best pro-Israel speech would come from Iranians. And her name is Lily. And he said that this Lily that spoke is speaking as pro-Israeli, that this doesn't need to happen. And so um, they did thank her because she got up in front of thousands of people that were pro-Israel and said enough is enough, and urged against the evils of Hamas, Hezbollah, and Islamic Republic. She is a woman. She says she loves life and she loves freedom. Great, great. I salute her for standing up and getting up and speaking to Iranian people and saying enough is enough. Um, um, Now, Israel, and I told you at the very beginning of the show, they uncovered a lot of stuff at the hospital. Um, I I don't want to re-go over that, but please watch the beginning of the show because I gave a really good Israeli report of what's going on in the hospital. They got them surrounded on three sides, and I mentioned this on William's show last night that they're holding people hostage and threatening them. And inside the hospital, they even found a place where they uh, rearranged it to where they could have their own little apartment, have their own shower. And then, of course, they found the weapons. But they're firing from inside the hospital out on Israeli soldiers, hoping they'll bomb the hospital and no, we didn't do it. But now, um, even the media, independent media, and even CNN has gotten in there to where now they could see it. So is NBC, I believe. So now it's staring them straight in the face. They can no longer say that Hamas is the victims. Slowly, one by one, we're seeing the media is now being shown the horrors of this war, and it's not like T-Lob and the squad said. This is like I've mentioned this at the beginning of the show. October 6th, there was a ceasefire a ceasefire agreement between the people of Palestine, Hamas, and Israel. And October 7th, they broke the ceasefire. That's why that's why we can't do a 5 day for 70 hostages. Are they going to shoot them in the back as they walk out? Are they even alive? They said, oh, 50 of them disappeared. We don't know where they're at. Boy, that story got covered up. And, um, and what does Joe Biden do? Oh, he's going to go meet APEC and uh, Jinping on tomorrow. That's going to be interesting. So, is he taking the side of Jinping and says, if you do it right, you could just take Taiwan? Is he going to talk about that? Is he going to even talk about now? This is old news, but what about the balloons that went over the country? You got to remember he didn't address any of this, and he probably not. That's why I said he isn't qualified to be a president. He's no longer qualified. I don't know. Maybe they'll have someone in the administration, maybe Obama, go and talk to Jinping. But what's the agreement going to be? When we see that they're funding Russia, China is taking over parts of the world that don't need to be. They're even infiltrating our country through our borders with hundreds of spies. Is he going to address any of this? No, probably not. He's probably just going to do the cordial shaking of the hand and make the little speech, and then he's going to go to his room and he's probably going to go to bed and talk to Jill about divorce. I don't think anything of this APEC is. I don't know. William might say something different because we'll find out tomorrow. we know that all of his businesses, and he's been getting money from China and the CCP. Uh, how weird that they don't, Comer doesn't mention, or Grassy, the business that I brought out through um, what I found out with Peter Schweizer, I believe, that said they bought into a company and put a lot of money into it. And they were making a lot of money out of it, and it was making military equipment for the CCP. Eventually, the CCP kind of moved out and they took over. So they took over a business making military equipment for the CCP in China to attack who? You know, all of this needs to come out. Um, all right. Let's see. Now, this is just out of the blue. We're starting to see, with the Olympics, folks, we're seeing more and more where the transgenders are getting in. And now, I said if it was me, I wouldn't compete against them. I just say no, I ain't doing it. You know, it, granted, you don't get the gold, the silver, or the bronze medal, but is it really worth it to lose? Um, be, uh, you got the ability, you've got the power, you could win the gold, but then they throw this guy in here, and yeah, oh yeah. So some of the Olympic female pool player forfeited final um, being able to sign in past the due date. And when they asked why didn't you get in? Why didn't you do the proper paperwork? And she said, because I'm not playing against him. He's going to win. There's no way. They're just better than we are. Just that little bit better. And then, I find out the Thanksgiving parade. It's family thing. It's a family thing. And they want to bring in the transgender part of it. I'm sorry, folks. I'm boycotting the Thanksgiving Day parade. I will not watch it. I won't turn it on for my kids. I'm not even going to go there. This was about family. This was about Disney. It was about fun. It's about Santa Claus. It's about Christmas. It's not transgender. It's not happy holidays, and it's not ruining the family sector like they want to. It's up to you, but it's only my opinion. But I'm not watching it. I'm boycotting it this year. And I suggest you do the same if you feel like, you're a Christian and you have Christian values. We're not going to keep getting pushed into a transgender world because it's a mental thing. It's the choices they've made. It's not because they were born that way. They think they are, or do is that parental guidance that does this? Is it a mental issue? They're not born that way. They're born a male, female, and when they decide to switch, I think they really do need to take a nice long look before they start mutilating themselves. So that's all I want to say. But I am boycotting the Thanksgiving parade this year. No parade for Ellie. And I used to get the donuts and the eggnog, and I'd put it on, and the kids would be excited. Not this year. Not this year. The DoD says Russia, China will face similar consequences um, if North Korea decides to get big and bad with them. I don't agree with that. This came, I'm not sure who put it out. Let me see. I got to see who did this. Well, it was Fox News that did it. And um, because North Korea, Kim Jong Un, well, a sister. Me and William know it's his sister that's making all the decisions. if she decides to go against the Philippines or South Korea, or even parts of Russia or China, eventually she could be a loose cannon over there in Indonesia and the southern seas over there. They're building islands. They're taking over the strait. China is, with North Korea on on their boot their on their coattails. Will Korea and his sister stay true to China and Russia, or is she going to go off and do her own thing? And will she strike them if they try to stop her? And you're never going to believe who's putting this warning out. None other than Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin. He's warning that Russia and China, cooperating with North Korea, could expand military capabilities, but on the cusp of not knowing how Kim Jong Un's sister is reacting to all of this. We don't hear nothing from them. They're both very quiet. Uh, Austin spoke Tuesday during the meeting of the defense ministers at a summit for the UN command, the international body of the overseas enforces the Korean War armistice. We are deeply concerned that the PRC and Russia are helping to expand its capabilities and enabling North Korea to build up their military also. And that we're asking for sanctions from the UN Security Council, Austin told a group of defense officials. So, Democratic People, Republic of Korea, the Hermit of Nations officials name. They're saying there needs to be more sanctions, or he did, against North Korea. Well, I think it's a little too late on it. The shoulda, coulda, woulda. The shoulda, coulda, woulda. They were so worried. Lloyd Austin, and a lot of our military, the Pentagon, the Department of Defense, was lame and too worried about transgender that they let North Korea side up with BRIC. They let BRIC happen. And oddly enough, I guess the squad, the World Economic Squad, uh, uh, they are even feeling the pressures now, and they're starting to falter. Oh, good for us. Good for us. Why? Because the European nations is now saying this whole wind generator, solar panels, now they need to be replaced, and we ain't got the money, and uh, you know, they're fed up, and they're seeing that this isn't working. The Green Deal isn't working because they didn't go about it right. They forced it on us. Just since the beginning of the year in the Bronx, they've had 11 fires from EV scooters catching on fire. They had one the other night that burnt a whole family out. They had these scooters, they're just electric little scooters, and they put them inside the doorway, and poof, they went. And it actually blocked them from getting out of their apartment or their house. They couldn't get out, and they burned to death. So we're seeing that this Green Deal is faltering, and the world is waking up to the World Economic saying this isn't working no more. Not only that, but the taking down the farming, the beef, and the food, what we use for food. Okay, if you start taking the food source out, what are they going to replace it with? Well, we're finding out bugs. I don't like the bugs. You know me on the first show. These bugs just creep me out. All of the bugs do. And now the European and UK and even third world countries are saying, you know what, we're hungry. Well, you're not going to let us even grow simple rice or potatoes because you guys have to do it with your GMOs. Not letting us hunt. You took away the guns so we can hunt. You took away our farming industry. And we've seen that, I believe, in the Netherlands, to where the farmers are fighting. So, what are we supposed to eat? If you watch Survivor and they're eating the rice, and it's like go fishing, go to the ocean. The ocean has fish, people. Well, the way the World Economic Forum is they don't want us to have any rights to fish, no rights to hunt, no rights for farming, no right for the backyard farmer, to have a little garden. So what are we supposed to eat? Well, it's lucky enough we're seeing the UK and the EU and the Netherlands and other places say, and you want us to pay for windmills? No, the windmills and the solar panels have got to go. And we're going to go back to maybe getting some cows. Boy, over dinner this week, the cows, get this, cows about 8 years ago were about $800 here. To get a cow now, $10,000 because they don't want us to eat beef. I mean, I feel for you vegans, you guys, but they're taking your food too. When are you not going to be able to go grow green beans anymore, or corn? Because they're going to do it for you. Bill Gates. Bill Gates, they say, is part of that little squad of the World Economic Forum. Him and George, and looks like Fauci could be a part of this too. And there's two guys with the World Economic Forum and a few other leaders that the names I didn't recognize. And so they're going to starve us, and then they're going to give us electric cars we can't afford. What are they doing? It's called depopulation. And now these countries in the third world countries are starting to realize that's what this is about, is let's let a whole bunch of people starve for the one world order. Let's give them all one world bank, one world church, one world system, one world law. And so who's going to be in charge? I hope it's not Jinping. Who knows? William, they might put Kim Jong-un's sister in charge. She's mean. Boy, yeah, she with the whip. Let's see if I have anything else. Uh, I believe that's it, folks. I hope you enjoyed today's show. This was a good show tonight. Um, and I so thank everyone for watching and supporting us. We don't ask for money. I'm gonna have to put my link up because I know some people want to give me some money, and I just not about that. I mean, even on my birthday, everybody says, "Well, we'll get you a gift card to give you money," and I'm like, "No, no, just go buy me some flowers or something." Flowers are good. I like flowers. I like candy. Yeah, I got one of them little machines, and I'm big on jelly beans. It would come Easter, boy. I go up, and I wait for Easter to get over because I can get them for 10 cents a bag. Nobody likes jelly beans but Ellie. Um, but we have Christmas coming up around the corner. We're a week away from Thanksgiving, folks. This year be thankful for your family and the love you have between all of them. Everybody says, are you thankful on your birthday? And I said, I'm thankful for my show. I love you guys. I love this show and my family. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's about. Don't let the news get to you, folks. If it starts stressing you out and you start getting anxiety, turn it off. Turn it off because it's so overwhelming right now. And right now, during the holiday season, it's about family, it's about friends, it's about loving one another. It's not happy holidays. No, it's called Thanksgiving, it's called Christmas. So, with that, folks, I thank you all. Subscribe, hit the like button. Um, and I hope you're enjoying a lot of the new endings. There's a little bit of everything happening. So, with that, I hope you guys have a wonderful Tuesday. Me and William will be back tomorrow for the World War III report. Again, thank you all so very much. And take care and God bless.